You just got your first real job offer, and the number on that salary slip makes you feel like you've finally arrived. I remember the exact moment I walked into a dealership wearing confidence like a new suit, eyes locked on a car that seemed to shimmer with possibilities. For a fleeting week, it felt as if the universe was giving me a nod. Every rev of the engine was a symphony. Every approving glance from a passerby was like applause. But then, like a storm cloud creeping over a sunny horizon, the first payment arrived, and the shimmering ideal started to feel more like a weight around my neck. You've probably been there, or maybe you're heading there now. The lure of a sleek car, the promise of recognition wrapped up in a glossy finish, validated every decision to splurge. It's a tale as old as consumerism itself. We chase symbols of success because society tells us they're important. These vehicles are more than transport. They're badges of honor that speak volumes about who we are, or at least who we want to be. But here's the twist. Those polished exteriors and plush interiors, they come with a hidden cost that goes beyond the sticker price. It's a lesson I learned the hard way, one that I want to share to save you from the same pitfalls. My name is Ben, and I've spent years obsessing over the real meaning of wealth, and spoiler alert, it has nothing to do with the emblem on your steering wheel. The truth is that while you're signing those loan papers, you're also signing away a piece of your financial freedom. And here's what nobody talks about. That new car smell, it fades. Those monthly payments, they don't. So let's make a deal. If this video makes you question the real value of what you're driving, hit subscribe. Because understanding this uncomfortable truth could be the first step toward real financial liberation. There's an unsettling realization waiting to be uncovered. It's this: the car you drive is supposed to elevate your status, but it often just shackles you further to the rat race. Imagine investing those payments elsewhere, letting your money work for you rather than against you. The stakes are high and the choice is yours. Your journey doesn't have to be paved with debt and regrets unless you decide it's worth it. So as you sit there, perhaps even considering what your next big purchase should be, remember that true wealth doesn't need to be shouted with every gear change. Sometimes it quietly accumulates, unnoticed, until one day it's the foundation of a life lived on your terms. Picture this. You've just hit a significant milestone. Maybe it's a promotion at work or your 30th birthday. You decide you've earned a reward for all your hard work, and what better way to celebrate than by stepping into that sleek new vehicle you've been eyeing? You walk into the dealership, and there it is. The car that promises not just a means of transport, but an upgrade to your identity. The smell of new leather wraps you in dreams of open roads and envious glances. For a week, or maybe even a month, every drive feels like a victory lap. But let's pause here, because soon enough the sheen starts to fade, not just from the dashboard, but from the idea itself. You're confronted with the relentless march of monthly payments that don't get easier, an insurance premium that bites harder, and not to mention the maintenance costs that creep in like uninvited guests. The pressure mounts, but you tell yourself it's worth it. After all, you're not the only one doing it, right? Here's where it gets uncomfortable. That car, the one symbolizing your success, is more like a financial ball and chain. We crave recognition, but how often do we consider the cost of that recognition? Our brains, wired for immediate gratification, applaud every nod and wave from a passing stranger. Yet, what's so often missed in this equation is the heavy toll that comes with such validation. Think back to the last time you saw a neighbor pull in with a new car. There's that involuntary reflex, the thought, should I upgrade too? The irony, they're probably thinking the same thing about you. It's a cycle of perceived necessity where success is measured by what you can show rather than what you can save. Now, stay with me here. Let's crunch some numbers. Say you're shelling out $500 every month just for the car. Add another $150 for insurance. $100 for gas, and those biannual maintenance checks, the ones that seem to cost more than your car's worth every time. In 5 years, that $50,000 car is essentially costing you $70,000, and that's just the direct cost. Factor in what you could have earned investing that money, and the picture gets even gloomier. The trap of instant satisfaction runs deep. We underestimate the long haul because our brains aren't wired for it. We adjust expectations based on the allure of what we see, not on the reality of our bank statements. So you end up like a hamster on a wheel, running, spending, but never really getting anywhere. And this, my friends, is where everything starts falling apart, because that dream car, it's actually a mirage luring you into a financial desert where freedom seems forever out of reach. It's not just about dollars and cents. It's about a mindset that locks wealth behind the bars of perceived prestige. But here's where it gets even more twisted. This cycle, this race to nowhere, is by design. Next time, we'll peel back the layers of why society keeps us trapped in the gleam of new cars and how we can break free. We find ourselves standing in the shadows of the automotive giants, teased by the allure of gleaming new vehicles and the promise of a lifestyle that equates ownership with worth. But here's where things get really twisted. The very thing that's meant to make you stand out, that sleek car with all the bells and whistles, is the same thing that binds you to a race with no finish line. It's the glittering chain that keeps you from the freedom you think you're buying. There's a grim irony in that, don't you think? Now let's lighten it up with a touch of irony. When you're really struggling, barely scraping by, the world's expectations seem simple. You know you're broke when you're counting quarters for gas. In some dark way, there's a straightforward honesty to that kind of struggle. What you see is truly what you get. But things get murkier once you're in the trap of perceived prosperity. You start living in this strange world where everything's glossy and just out of reach. The real kicker, you don't even realize it's happening because the world keeps telling you it's normal. And here's where the psychological mechanism comes in. Society tells you that prestige equals happiness and that your car is your ride to success. This creates what I like to call the mirage of wealth. It's a mirage because it's all surface and no substance. You're lured into thinking that once you've got the car, you've made it. But what you've actually made is a financial straitjacket with a leather interior. Recognize this scenario? You spend more time than you'd like to admit weighing the pros and cons of a car that costs more than you can comfortably afford. You convince yourself it's a smart investment because you deserve it. Then you head home only to binge watch your favorite shows to escape the stress, because ironically, you're too exhausted from worrying about the payments to enjoy the car itself. And here's where it gets even more insidious. This isn't just about one car. It's about a lifetime of decisions driven by this false notion of success. The debt isn't just financial, it's emotional, psychological. It's a creeping, compounding effect that erodes the real wealth you could be building. Over time, it locks you into a cycle where every new purchase demands a bigger one to keep up with the facade. Each decision trickles into the next until you're knee-deep in a lifestyle funded by credit and stress. It's uncomfortable, isn't it? Realizing that the car you thought would propel you into a new level of living instead parked you in the same lane of financial insecurity. This isn't just a product of personal failing. It's a system designed to capitalize on our hopes and dreams. Once you see the trap for what it is, you can start figuring out how to step off the hamster wheel. The key lies not in the emblem on the hood, but in the freedom to choose the road less traveled. Ever wonder how the auto industry got so good at whispering sweet nothings to your wallet? They've turned the art of persuasion into a science, targeting you with precision. It's not just about selling a car, it's about selling a lifestyle, a dream. And they know exactly how to play on your aspirations and insecurities. The commercials show you a world where driving a shiny new car means success and happiness. But here's the twist. These cars are mostly parked in traffic, doing little more than looking pretty on your credit report. Have you ever chuckled at those ads promising endless adventure and freedom, only to realize you're more familiar with the gas station clerk than any open road? Sure, let me just volunteer for unpaid overtime so I can afford to keep the dream alive, you think? There's a dark humor in how we've been conditioned to desire more, often at our own expense. This is where the system's trap becomes painfully clear. You're not failing to manage your finances. You're managing them exactly as designed by a system that thrives on your willingness to believe in its illusion. It's like you're playing a role in an epic drama of consumerism, but the script is written to keep you ensnared in debt. And here's the thing, the language of coping becomes second nature. You develop this strange relationship with your bank account where I'll pay that off next month feels more like a mantra than a plan. You start speaking fluently in the dialect of deferred dreams and postponed reality. What really stings is the revelation of how this all compounds. It's not just about this month's payment or next month's insurance hike. It's about a lifetime of trade-offs where every shiny purchase is paid for with years of future freedom. This isn't merely financial, it's a psychological cage, one that's allowed to persist because it's so enveloped in the normalcy of consumer culture. And as you sit there questioning these choices, an honest realization emerges. The car never really represented you. It was a product of a system that knows your desires better than you do and exploits them at every turn. It's time to break free, to see the road for what it truly is, a path you can choose to travel differently. Let's dive into something most of us conveniently ignore. When you buy that flashy car, it's not just a vehicle, it's an extension of your identity, isn't it? This brings up an uncomfortable point. Is your self-worth really tied to the emblem on your hood? We've all been there. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that the car you drive announces who you are to the world. But here's the reality check. The world isn't as impressed as you think. Now, let me be clear about something. This isn't about shaming anyone for wanting nice things. It's not about living a life of deprivation or denial. It's about understanding why we allow the symbols of success to define us, rather than letting success be defined by our freedom and choices. The truth is, the new car smell fades, but the financial commitment lingers like an unwelcome guest at your party. When you prove to yourself that you can break free from this cycle, that you don't need a luxury logo to feel validated, something remarkable happens. You start questioning other areas of your life where you've blindly followed the herd. It's like waking from a long enchanted dream only to realize you were sleepwalking into debt and dissatisfaction. Think about what this means for you. You've seen both types of people, the ones who drive the latest model and are secretly worried about next month's payment, and those who drive a beat-up car and sleep soundly knowing they have financial peace. Meanwhile, the person who opted out of the rat race of car debt is using their resources to build real wealth. They're not just collecting assets, they're collecting time, experiences, and choices, the true markers of success. Here's another angle most people never consider. What does your car say about your priorities? Does it scream financial freedom, or does it echo the hollow chase of societal approval? Even worse, if that car could talk, would it tell tales of anxiety masked as prestige? In the end, it's a simple decision that reveals a deeper truth about what you value. When the wheels stop turning and the engine quiets, what's left is the core of who you are, untouched by the fleeting allure of material identity. And here's the thing, realizing this is your first step towards a life where you aren't defined by your possessions, but by the freedom to choose your own path. Let me tell you about a conversation I had with a colleague, someone whose financial decisions I once couldn't wrap my head around. He drove a car that looked like it had survived a decade-long war, and I couldn't understand why someone with such a high income wouldn't upgrade. One day he pulled me aside, a knowing smile on his face, and asked, "Do you know what this old beater is actually worth?" He didn't wait for my answer. "Freedom," he said. "It's not just a car. It's the financial breathing room to invest in things that actually grow my wealth." Here's what he did. Instead of caving to the pressure of buying new, he drove that old car and used what he saved to invest in index funds. During those same years, others spent $70,000 on a car that depreciated the minute they drove it off the lot. He watched his investments soar. Imagine this, $400 a month. That's less than most car payments, invested over 10 years at a reasonable rate of return, could grow into a six-figure sum. All that from what many would see as a minor sacrifice. Think about what this means in practical terms. While others are chained to monthly payments, he's accumulated a portfolio that allows him to consider early retirement. That old car wasn't just a symbol of frugality, it was a stepping stone to financial independence. Now, let me put this into perspective. If you're putting $500 into a car every month, that's $6,000 a year. Over 5 years, that's $30,000. Invested wisely, this could be the difference between scraping by and living comfortably in your later years. Those numbers aren't just figures. They represent missed opportunities and potential gains. But I get it. There's this deep-seated belief that a nicer car somehow signals success, that it's part of a life well lived. But let's be honest. For the vast majority of us, it's just not worth the financial stress. The facade is alluring, but the real winners are those who see through it and invest in their future instead. The uncomfortable truth is that financial freedom often comes from the decisions we make now, not the ones we flaunt. So when you next look at your car, consider the real cost, because the path to wealth is paved by those who dare to look beyond appearances and invest in the unseen. That's where the true luxury lies, in the quiet confidence of a future secured, not in the fleeting prestige of an expensive ride. So here's the truth about why driving a beater car made me rich. It's not the car itself, but the freedom it represents. This isn't just about saving a few bucks a month. It's about reclaiming control over your financial destiny. Think about how easy it is to fall into the trap of thinking a car defines you, when in reality, it's just a series of metal and plastic designed to take you from A to B. The real problem isn't the car, it's how we've been conditioned to equate our self-worth with what we own rather than who we are. Your choice here isn't about whether to drive a beater or a luxury vehicle. It's about choosing between short-lived gratification and long-term fulfillment. Every dollar spent on maintaining an image is a dollar you're denying your future self. And believe me, your future self will either shake their head at your past indulgence or thank you for your wisdom. This is the decision point. Invest in appearances or invest in your life. If you choose the latter, the road may not be filled with immediate admiration or envy from others, but it will lead to a destination where financial peace and opportunity thrive. So, as you stand on the brink of your next financial decision, remember this. It's not about the car you drive today, but the life you want to live tomorrow. Your journey to true wealth starts not with what you flaunt, but with what you smartly save and invest. Make the choice that your future self will look back on and appreciate.